Hello, students. I hope you're having a great day. And today I actually want to wrap up this multiply series that we've been going over. We've talked about grace, faith, doubt. We've talked about all sorts of ways that God is trying to multiply, to grow, to expand in our ministry and our life and the people around us. And I want to close out this series by asking a simple question. How much time do you have left in the Multiply student ministry? For for some of you, for our current seniors, you have about 2 to 3 weeks left. On May 10th, we're recognizing you and your accomplishments, and how excited we are for each one of you to be going to college and how God's going to use y'all. And for juniors who are going to be seniors, in about 365 days, you will be in that same position. And I could keep going, but each one of us has a certain amount of time left in the student ministry. That includes me and that includes your leaders. I mean, 100 years from now, if the church, 100 years from now at this church, I won't be the student minister of that time. Most likely, God would have called me home. I mean, at some point in time, there will be a point where I am no longer the student minister, and by God's grace, and I pray that I am the student minister as long as possible. For as long as God will allow me to be in ministry, I will be in the student minister here. But there will be a time when I am no longer the student minister. There will be a time when the student leaders will be different. There will be times when the students will all be different. All of us have a certain amount of time left in this student ministry. And that kind of sounds sad, right? That sounds like a downer. Why are we talking about this? Why are you asking us to figure out how much time we have left? And really, when you look at the number, it doesn't seem that much. Even if you're in sixth grade going into seventh, that time flies, and those days that you come up with don't seem like that much. But the reason I'm asking you to do this is because of Psalm 90. Now, the context of this verse in Psalm 90 is Moses is praying. He's talking about how eternal God is, how God has always been there, and how we are not eternal. Now, we will live eternally with God because of what Jesus did, but our lives here on earth are not eternal. Whether it's our job, whether it's our life, anything, nothing is permanent in this life. So Moses is praying this. He's talking about how God, you're eternal, how we are not. And then it says in verse 12, this is the verse I want us to focus on today to close out this series. Here's what Moses says. Teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom. God, teach us to realize we have a set number of days, and this is important in anything that we do. We have a set number of days as a parent, one day as a parent, set number of days as a sibling, set number of days as a worker, set number of days as people on this earth. Everything that we are, everything that we do, has a set amount of time. And what Moses is saying is when we realize that in this life, when we truly number our days and realize that there's a limited amount, we're going to start wondering, how can we use those days wisely? How can we serve? How can we love God? How can we pursue God and love people better and not take our days for granted? Because when you realize there's a limited number of days and you truly live by that, you're not going to want to waste any of them. You're going to try to make the best of each and every day when it comes to service to God and service to your family and to other people. That's what Moses is telling us to do. So I'm asking us to do that with the student ministry today. How many days do you have left in the student ministry? And I know that's an impossible thing to answer because no one truly knows how many days they have left. I mean, people move or circumstances happen. But if we truly number our days when it comes to multiply, when it comes to this student ministry, I think we should look at ourselves and say, how do I want the rest of my time to be here? I mean, what do you want Multiply to be about? Um, I'm so excited to be able to meet again. I'm so excited to have fun and joke around, play games, hang out with friends, just see faces again. And I know all of us are excited for that, and those are great things. But what else do you want Multiply to be about? During the rest of your time here, whether it's a couple weeks, a year, or a few years, who is someone in the ministry you can impact now? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind in the student ministry that will affect future groups, future students, as well as the current ones? When we really number our days in our student ministry and in our lives, we're going to ask ourselves, how do we want to use them? Guys, I really hope you realize this ministry is a partnership with y'all. And when it comes to numbering our days, I want you in your small group time to start thinking big. Start thinking, what do I want God to do? Because really, the only way our student ministry can succeed, and I'm not talking about numbers, we may never reach high numbers. We may stay the same size for the rest of my ministry, but we could also still be a godly ministry. In order to do that, we must allow God to come and work how He wants to. But so think big. What do you want God to do in our student ministry? What do you want God to do and Multiply? Or who do you want Him to reach through our student ministry? I want you in your small groups to be thinking about those things. Do you want God to reach your entire school? Do you want God to reach our entire community? What are some of these dreams? What are some of these goals you want to have in the rest of your time here at Cy-Fair Christian Church? Because all of us have a set amount of time left in the student ministry. But here's the important thing. Whether it's a couple weeks or it's for a few years, you have gifts and abilities and passions that are essential to our ministry. And I hope you can sit here, and maybe this break has been good for you to sit there and realize, maybe you didn't realize how much you did miss the student ministry. Or maybe you had a chance to sit back and say, what is the purpose of the student ministry? I want you to number your days, not to make you sad about how much time you have left, but rather so that we can sit there and be like, what do we want Multiply to be about? Because we see when God multiplies in us, we see grace, we see love, we see faith, we see all these things growing. We see that we become more like Him, that we decrease and that He increases. So when we think about what we want God to do with Multiply in the rest of your time, I want you in your small group to ask yourself that question. What do I want the rest of my time to look like? How do I want God to multiply in this group, in our community, and in you? I hope you have a great discussion time. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. I'm excited for the future series we will be doing. But take some time and really discuss what you want Multiply to be about and what you want God to do in the student ministry. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great group time.